Today concludes That Fantasy Chickmas. So far, all of the videos this month have been Christmas themed and have been centered around the Christmas special. Today I wanted to veer off that theme and talk about remakes of a Christmas classic, A Christmas Carol. I'm going to be talking about two of my favorite adaptations, The Muppet Christmas Carol versus Scrooge. Now they are as different as night and day, but they both bring their own unique perspective to the classic story. The Muppet Christmas Carol is a wholesome musical centered around a dour Michael Caine who gave his all to his performance in this film, despite the fact that most of his co-stars were Muppets. Scrooged is a dark comedy centered around an arrogant and caustic Bill Murray. The Muppet Christmas Carol was a more faithful adaptation of the story, complete with the narrator, played by Gonzo, interjected with singing. Scrooge was updated to a late 80s modern take on the classic, where instead of Ebenezer Scrooge, the main character is named Frank Cross. And instead of being a landlord, he is president of a TV network where he is ironically putting on a live version of A Christmas Carol on Christmas Eve. One main difference between the two is there is a love story in Scrooge. Although in The Muppet Christmas Carol, Scrooge had loved and lost, in Scrooge, there was a chance for Frank to win that lost love back. So there are many scenes in between his visits with the ghost where he interacts with his love interest, Claire. And when he has his Christmas epiphany on the air, she rushes right over to be with him. Another difference between the two is in The Muppet Christmas Carol, Scrooge is more open to his ghost visits as the night goes on, and you can see his attitude changing as well. Whereas Frank fights them every step of the way, and he stays the same until he sees his grave, then he changes drastically. I guess Frank's character might have been too arrogant to admit that he had softer feelings than he was letting on, because he did go to see Claire after one of those visits, but he reverted back to his old self soon after. In Scrooge, Bob Cratchit and Tiny Tim were represented by Frank's assistant, Grace, and her mute son, Calvin. So, no danger of him dying, but he was in danger of him being institutionalized because he couldn't talk. In The Muppet Christmas Carol, Bob and Tiny Tim are represented by Kermit the Frog and Robin. And like the original story, he was in danger of dying. Also, Bob's wife was Miss Piggy, and the girl children were pigs, and the boy children were frogs. I've always wondered how Miss Piggy gave birth to frogs. But anyway, in Scrooge, the nephew is represented by a younger brother named James. Quick side note, both the role of Frank's younger brother and his father in the past were played by Bill Murray's real-life brothers, John Murray and Brian Doyle Murray, respectively. And when the ghost of Christmas Present brought him to his brother's house, they were playing a TV trivia game. Frank knew all the answers because he grew up doing nothing but watching TV. In The Muppet Christmas Carol, Scrooge's nephew was played by a human actor. And when the ghost of Christmas Present took Scrooge to see him, they were playing a game called Yes and No, which ended up insulting Scrooge. So for once, The Muppet Christmas Carol was crueler than Scrooge. I find it funny how each adaptation came up with their own version of Ghost of Christmas Past and Ghost of Christmas Present, but both stuck to the script when it came to the Ghosts of Christmas Yet to Come. The Muppet Christmas Carol climax was perfectly paced and didn't feel overlong, despite the fact that it had 2 songs in it. Scrooge's climax felt like it went on for a bit too long. He should have come out, said his speech, then go out to reunite with Claire. Everything happening on the stage made it feel long and dragged out. It's hard to pick a favorite between the two since they are so different and they each bring their own unique flavor to their adaptations. So I'm going to cheat and call a draw. They are both great adaptations of A Christmas Carol. So what is your favorite adaptation of A Christmas Carol? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to know the next time I upload or go live. Thanks.